October of 2014, a Time magazine cover article on the CEO of GM, Mary Barra, spoke about their ignition switch recall issue. It was called the worst product safety crisis in recent memory. 2.6 million cars were recalled. Drivers of GM vehicles experienced 500 injuries and 21 people were killed. Barra attributed the ignition switch cover-up to the culture, a culture of transactional decision-making that permeated GM. People were afraid to pass bad news up the food chain because, as Barra observed, GM is a deeply siloed place. While naming elephants can be hard, the price that can be paid for not naming them is enormous. In GM's case, they suffered a loss of $400 million in victim compensation and 15 people were fired. Another example of the price that is paid for elephants in the room going unnamed is the financial collapse of 2008. Goldman Sachs spokesman wrote, "As an industry, we collectively neglected to raise enough questions about whether some of the trends and practices that became commonplace really served the public's long-term interests." Millions and millions of dollars were lost, companies were closed, houses were foreclosed upon, and the U.S. economy suffered greatly. Despite a leadership focus on safety via memos and town hall meetings, assumptions and competing objectives discounted the safety ethic in favor of making the numbers during the operation of the Deepwater Horizon, which eventually was at the heart of the BP oil spill in 2010. 11 lives were lost and billions of dollars were spent and awarded in litigation in the following years. These cautionary tales all have one thing in common. They all started as an elephant in the room. Are there unnamed elephants on your team? In your organization? What price are you paying for them? At what cost are they going unnamed? Knowing the effects of letting elephants go unnamed, as a leader, you ought to be very concerned about what's not being said. Intel's former CEO, Andy Grove, described this as akin to having a paranoid vigilance to finding out what people are thinking and what they know. Do any of these look or sound familiar? The meeting before the meeting after the meeting during the meeting? These are signs of elephants. These are signs of elephants in the room that are going unnamed, and ultimately the cause of this is lack of trust. When trust is strong, people can say anything. In the absence of trust, people lack the will to be forthright. What are you doing to build trust in order to surface those conversations? Where do these questions leave you on the mood elevator? Get to curious. Assume you don't know everything. Find understanding. Probe for the elephant with the 3 questions provided on the document in the Resources tab. Be appreciative. Don't get defensive. Don't shoot the messenger. Celebrate those on your team who name the elephants. Before you go, download the resource to learn more about how to create an environment where elephants in the room can be named.